Fucking shit. Well, welcome to Oddly Coded, where every game is good, including the bad ones. My name is Matt. This is Oddly Coded, which I already said, but these are the people that comprise Oddly Coded, including me, which I already said. STEEJ, what's up? How's it going?
I'm good. I'm here and ready to talk about video games.
That's what we're gonna do. Ridian,
Cool.
Hey, that's his name.
What's up? I'm also good. I'm just gonna answer like somebody who's just like, "Hey, how are you?" that you don't really know. It's just like, "I'm all right," and then you never speak to him again.
That's perfect. That's
Or you
exactly
have
what this
that one-
podcast is about.
Or
so.
you have like one inside joke that happens one time, and you're just like, "Oh, lampshades, right?" And like you both get it, and like that's all you ever say to each other every time you see each other.
All right, I'll see you at either somebody's funeral or the reunion. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And we cannot forget about Lyle. Key lime, Opie, Breath of the Lyle, Breath of the Waifu. It's him. There he is.
He is him. It's
The-
him.
the
Here,
guy.
I'm queer partially, and I need a beer.
Oh, dude.
You
same.
should have done that before we started. Matt, what are we talking about today?
Oh yeah, that's a
Don't
good
worry.
that's a good thing to get into. We're going to talk about video games like normal, except specifically we're going to talk more about video games and movies that should be video games. We might also get into video games that shouldn't have been movies. Or, like video games that should have been movies, and also movies that shouldn't have been video games, and also like TV shows that might have or may have been video games
man.
once or twice, and
I
then
didn't even think
shouldn't
about TV
or should have.
shows.
Yeah.
And
Oh, no.
anime? No,
What's
probably
that?
not going to get into anime.
Oh,
We're not allowed to
that's
get
a
into
whole-
anime.
No.
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna give a little bit of a teaser for later, dude, because you're the one like bringing this up. You can start us off, whatever.
Editor,
But-
make like a foreshadowing screen.
But during the time I was writing my notes down about like what I wanted to talk about, I had an insane revelation about what could make a good anime based on a video game.
Okay.
I know it's been done a few times already, but like I had a revelation that if you stick around, I will share later whenever it's my turn to talk about some of the stuff I want.
Actually,
11
what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say...
Is it a Chow Garden anime?
But you know what?
I'd watch it,
I'd
I'm
pay
down.
money.
Actually, STEEJ, what I'm going to do is just put you on the spot and see what sort of video game idea do you have from a TV show or maybe an anime?
Oh,
that what
okay.
we're
Yeah, no
Let's do it.
reason to like entice the viewers to stick around longer.
Stick
No,
around
they
later.
just go to me
I would just want them to
immediately.
stick around and to hear this now.
Stick around
Later,
for
I
2
don't care.
minutes.
That's me talking. This is you, man.
Okay. All right, cool.
That'll
fine.
be the only
Okay.
chapter of the video.
I was on
Well-
the edge of my seat for 2 minutes.
Okay.
They're just all about subverting expectations
Fine.
here. It's
Yeah,
good.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Star Wars.
That worked out well.
So
Wow.
Topical.
anyway, I don't want to talk about that because we'll be here forever.
Different episode.
So
I'm already angry.
I had gentlemen, I had a revelation the other day.
Hit me with
So
the revelation.
by the other day, I mean an hour ago. So I was thinking, obviously, about like what makes good video game adaptations as movies, like movies we've had in the past that have been, that have been based off of video games. I was thinking about that. We can go into like the whys and stuff like that a little bit later. But while I was thinking of these things, I thought about anime. And the fact that there have been a few more successful like anime or anime adjacent shows based off of video games. One being, I believe, the Castlevania series.
Fuck yeah.
Oh,
let's
yeah.
On
go.
Netflix,
Oh
and
my God.
I won't talk too much about it because I have not personally seen it, but I've only heard it's
So good.
amazing.
No,
So good.
I need a quick pause. So, they made an anime about Castlevania.
Yes.
Yes. And it's
And I've
phenomenal.
heard
It's
it's
fucking
amazing.
How did
But
I
I,
not
but
know
four,
about this?
four seasons on Netflix, and they're coming out with season 2 airing later in September.
we'll come back to it. We'll come
Okay.
back to it
We'll come
because
back. We'll come back.
I'm just saying it's been done, and that's great. But I want to open your mind a little bit to a possibility that could really meld two different genres. I want you to think about anime, and I want you to think about shonen anime specifically. What, and as I talk about this, you might start to see where I'm going with it. what is one of the main facets of a shonen anime?
Screaming.
Relatability with a various amount of characters.
Yes.
Pushing
But
your
what
limits.
about this? The fact that as a character, the main character usually, and some of the side characters progress through the story, they encounter and defeat stronger and stronger enemies. And they continue to get stronger as the series progresses until finally, at the end of the series, they are up against like the final like divine being or whatever they have to take down, right? Now I'm going to ask you this, gentlemen. What is a roguelike?
Oh, dude, I knew that was coming. I fucking knew that was coming. Yeah. Yeah, it just gets harder and harder until you like get to the end, and the whole thing is
And
like
you
it's
get
got permadeath,
stronger
so
and stronger.
yeah,
I feel like
and
I've
better
got the
and
wrong
better.
answer for this.
yeah.
So are you talking like a Hades TV show?
Yes.
I would 110% be down.
And that's where I started with it. But then I thought to myself, what if it was any roguelike? Like, because I think the idea of like a shonen anime is that I don't want to say the characters don't have to be as fleshed out, because I mean they do have personality, they have character, they have things about them, but the main idea is that it's a character that's getting stronger, that's getting better, that has to train or fight or whatever in order to overcome the next obstacle. And as you're playing through a roguelike, whether it's a roguelike or a roguelite, either way, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through permanent upgrades in a roguelite or a natural, like, classic roguelike where it's just you getting better at the game and the game doesn't change, like, either way, there's improvement of the character.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, like, Hades could be one.
Enter the Gungeon.
Enter the Gungeon.
Dead
like,
Cells.
Gunfight.
I feel like they'd fuck
Dead
that up.
Cells? Actually, though. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, actually, though. And it could make an incredible shonen anime.
Absolutely.
So, okay, all right. So that was going to be my first question. Are we talking about going from game to anime, or were we going from anime to game? Because I was thinking if you were going from anime to game, and you took just it's the first example that comes to mind, a game like a show like My Hero Academia, right?
Yeah.
If you created a roguelike out of it, because the facet of a shonen anime is many different characters, would you then have multiple characters as opposed to play as versus just one playable character? And it doesn't even have to be the entire roster, right? Because that would be that'd be overwhelming. But like 5 or 10 to choose from.
I imagine it would
obviously,
just depend on what mission you're on.
Yeah.
that too.
Because
But
the
if it's a
Naruto
roguelike,
games
you're
did that.
Or let's look at
Yeah.
the Binding of Isaac. Like, you start out as Isaac, but then you can do the exact same runs with different characters. In fact, the Binding of Isaac, you can unlock like 20 different characters. It's crazy. There's a
I'm
ton.
familiar with
And,
that one.
I feel like
Okay.
The Binding of Isaac would make a really terrible TV show.
and that's fine.
I know
No.
I know of it.
I'm-
I'm familiar with the artwork and I've seen it. I've never played Binding of Isaac.
No. And I'm not. That might be one of the outliers where it maybe wouldn't make a great TV show. Who knows? I don't know.
I said Enter the Gungeon earlier too as a joke because I don't.
No, it's seriously.
I don't-
could.
It's okay. So one of the things that I like about Enter the Gungeon is that they're these little chibi sort of like 8-bit characters, and you don't necessarily get attached to them. You just think like, okay, this is the fast guy. This is like the other guy, and they're all just like slightly different. I don't think I would want to get to know them as characters and give them like names and personalities
I
necessarily.
could see it as a short series, maybe.
I could
Like,
see it as like
not one
like
where
a
it's like
fan,
an entire series,
like a
Or,
really short fan film, maybe.
or short films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I got this completely wrong because I imagined that I was supposed to be guessing along the way as you were explaining this and then went to like the roguelike category. My
sorry.
first instinct was to say Shadow of the Colossus,
Okay.
which would be a fantastic anime regardless if it's shonen.
Okay. Yeah. As an anime, yes. I think I agree.
I'm not as familiar
because
with
of
those
because of how
games.
short that is, though.
except the basic
I would
premise.
I would almost say it would make a better movie.
Well,
Well, see,
hold on.
that's also
Also,
fine.
do you guys know the name of the guys that made that game? Because they made a handful of other games.
So the first
made
game was
Ico.
Ico. Shadow of the
Yeah.
Colossus was the sequel, and then they also did The Last Guardian.
That was a sequel?
Colossus game.
That's,
So-
yeah, Team Ico, Sony
All right, so-
Interactive.
Thinking about something off the top of my head, I think it's Black Mirror. I always think, I can't remember if it's Black Mirror or Dark Mirror, but it's the one about like,
Black Mirror.
like
That
it's
sounds like an
it's
anime.
horror, but it's
It's Black Mirror. Yeah, yeah.
It's Black Mirror. Okay, yeah. So it's horror, but it's like all technology based.
Yeah.
But every different episode is a different
yeah.
idea.
It's like its own. It's its own.
It can be a
fully
different time
encompassed
period.
story.
It can be about a different like. A lot of the technology is like kind of similar. It's like
Yeah.
just advanced enough to be like scary, but I think that would be a really cool way to do it, or like a
Yeah.
handful of short films,
Right.
for each of those, but in the anime style.
We'll get into the Castlevania thing, but that's kind of what they do, because with Castlevania, the first 4 seasons, like it focuses on one Belmont, and it's Trevor Belmont, and then this new season of Castlevania is going to take place in a different time period, and it's focusing around Richter Belmont, who's my boy.
See that's a
Fucking love
way
Richter.
cool. That's a way cooler name. Imagine you're a vampire, like you've been living for thousands of years. You've spread fear across the land. You're just like, bleh, I'm gonna kill you, and then some dude named fucking Trevor shows up. Like,
Dude, and he
I don't
he
know.
fucking-
I don't know. I'd be pissed.
Look, no offense to any of the Trevors
Me
out there, but
personally.
like he behaves like a Trevor too. Like he just
No,
constantly wants to get drunk, and he just has a loathing distaste for the world.
He's
and
easily the best GTA 5 character. I
yeah,
won't lie.
no, you're yeah. I compared him more to like Bender though.
Trevor is the incarnation
I love
of the Grand Theft Auto player. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
The
and
chaos.
I enjoy that a lot.
They took the averages of the play styles of GTA 4 and made it a character.
Yeah. Oh man, the guy they found to voice him, like,
Oh my god, I love him.
Yeah.
I love him
He does
so
it so
much.
well, and they did like a live action. I think it might have been a fan film or something, and they actually
I
got
saw
him in
that.
it.
I
and
think
it
I know
they
what
was-
you're
had
talking
him in
about,
it.
yeah.
and everybody was like, "Hold on, is that the actual guy?" And then they were like,
Yeah.
"That's what he looks like. That's Trevor. That's
No,
just
like
up
all
now.
of the characters
Trevor.
look exactly like their actor counterparts.
Well, I guess it makes sense if you hire a voice actor and then you just
Holy
model the character
shit, he
after them.
does.
Yeah, it's
yeah, no,
really
straight up-
good.
it's
Oh,
weird.
I mean,
my
Freaky how
God.
realistic it is.
Yeah,
especially
it's,
for that time.
It's obvious that they got the
Stephen-
character and then they
Stephen
made
Ogg.
him into
I
the
love him.
video game character. But
There's
man,
there's
how
a
cool would that
video
be if
I
they did it
want.
the opposite way?
There's a video just to go on my one little tangent for that.
Sure.
There's a video of Stephen Ogg at a panel, and the only thing that the guy asks him to do is tell him to go fuck himself. And Stephen fucking gets up, walks off the stage, walks down the aisle, grabs the phone, and says, "Go fuck yourself!" As everybody goes wild.
I've seen that.
I
It's
love
amazing.
that video.
I did see
It's
that too, yeah.
incredible. Oh my god. Yeah,
put it
I'm
in
gonna
the
watch that
description.
again. And I think it might be a good time to take a small break from that conversation and bring up something I would like to turn into a reoccurring segment. And this segment is called Let's Make Some TikTok Content. And for this Let's Make Some TikTok Content, I'm going to get in a fake argument with Matt in which he has to defend his position.
Oh,
and
shit.
as soon as I say it, he already knows what he's going to say. All right, so ready? 3, 2, 1. Matt, what are you talking about? Pokemon Snap is not an FPS.
Look, it is the only FPS of the Pokemon genre, and it is the best game of the Pokemon genre because it's an FPS. Look, man,
Whoa.
the entire gaming industry has moved on into first-person shooters. You have no idea, STEEJ. You have no idea.
What
Everything is a first-person shooter for a reason.
What makes it an
we
FPS?
paid money to make our characters look really good because it's first-person shooter, and that's what the people want. All right, I sit down at my gaming station. I'm gonna open up Steam. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna buy the next first-person shooter game that comes out, and it better have cosmetics.
You're delusional.
I
You're
thought you said
delusional.
you're going to open up Steve, and I'm like, what the fuck is Steve?
I'm gonna open up Steve, the new platform for all of the video games, and they only sell first-person shooters, including Pokemon Snap.
What makes it an FPS?
I
What-
am in first person,
Uh-huh.
and I am shooting a camera
FPS
What do you call when you shoot
fucking
a movie,
Pokemon.
right?
You also shoot them with apples?
with your camera. What?
You shoot them with apples. You shoot them with
Exactly.
fucking blue balls that explode into pink powder that like
Thank you, Locke.
cause them to go to other.
I would like
you
to
shoot
point out.
many things.
I would like to point out that I don't know if this is general knowledge or if I'm just the first person to come up with this, but are y'all aware that FPS stands for fucking Pokemon Snap?
Damn right. Yes, I knew that. And that was going to be my next point, but thank you, Dan, for coming to my aid in this absolutely delusional fight that STEEJ would even think about bringing to the table.
Cue the X-Files.
Thank you for joining us for that hopefully reoccurring segment of Let's Make Some TikTok Content. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So roguelites.
Yes.
Hey man, if you ever just want me to say a bunch of nonsense and shout ever again, just let me know.
That's why I chose you.
Yeah.
That's literally why I chose you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody else for jumping in as well. That was great.
No, I was hoping
That'll do some numbers. That'll do some numbers.
That'll do, pig.
That's the one.
That'll
do, pig.
Every time I know it's not in my head, like the whole like the babe thing always brings me right back to Shrek.
Shrek.
Yeah.
That'll do, donkey.
It's like it's that evolution of the meme. It was, that'll do, pig. Everybody would just say that, and then Shrek came out, and now, at least in my head, it's with the Scottish accent.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Did you guys see the Shrek Crocs that are coming out?
The
The
what?
Shrocs, yeah.
The Shrocs?
Yes, it's
Shrek Rocks?
The Crocs.
Yeah, no.
Shrek Crocs. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's some Shrek,
Shrek
Rocks out there too.
but also,
They're bringing
Shrek
back
Rocks.
the 80s
Cleveland
Pet
does,
Rocks,
too.
and they have Shrek-themed ones.
as long as I can put those babies in sport mode, we're good. We're solid, man.
absolutely.
I love the meme of sport mode Crocs. I don't think I'm ever gonna do
Babe,
it.
the Crocs stay on during sex.
You guys know the origin of Crocs, right?
I think so, yeah.
maybe.
Oh, yeah, they were
Please
made
give
for
us
the
the
Idiocracy
entire-
movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As a fucking
As
so
a joke.
Dan, you know the movie Idiocracy, right?
Yes. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
So the
That would make a great
the
video
director
game.
the director told the costume designer, like,
We're living
hey,
it.
These people are fucking idiots. We need some shoes that look stupid. And there was a very small startup company that the costume designer like turned around to and was like, yeah, those look fucking dumb. and they really helped him out. And like you look in the movie and there are scenes where people are just wearing bright ass orange Crocs.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing in that movie was that all the clothes were just like one-time use, so you never do laundry or anything. They've just got like a thing in the wall where you just like put in a box and you just pull whatever you want for that day. And like Crocs look like disposable footwear.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
They out here wearing fucking aluminum
out here
foil.
living the idiocracy life.
I love them.
Oh.
Honestly, I want some. I was against them for the longest time, and then I've had so many people tell me that they're actually incredibly comfortable. So
No lie, Peyton actually got me a pair for our anniversary.
yeah.
I am still too much of a hipster to get into the fad.
Same.
Oh,
I mean,
dude,
is it
they're
really
wonderful.
a fad at this point?
I'm just an old
So
man.
many people have them, and they've had them
That's
for
what a-
years. No.
Okay.
A
So many
fad
people
is
having them
usually
is a fad.
fleeting.
Okay, yeah, but okay, it's the popular thing though. Like
Yeah,
that's
okay,
what
well, that's not
hipsters can't do.
I
Hipsters
would
just
say-
can't do.
I would say
popular.
fads have not. I would say fads have huge gray areas of popularity, right? Like they could
Yeah.
last 15 minutes of fame. That's why they call it 15 minutes of fame. But they could also
It's
last
still-
many years.
Yeah. Whether it's 5 months or 12 years, it's still 15 minutes. You can quote me on that. You can put that on my tombstone. All right.
It depends how far out in space you are and like the space-time continuum. It could
we
all
got-
be 15 minutes.
We got Neil deGrasse Tyson to sign on the papers. It's fine. Anyway,
Yeah. So speaking of roguelikes,
video games.
Yeah. So speaking of roguelikes, the movie Groundhog Day. All right. That is
Oh my god.
yo,
that movie
It
is
the roguelike.
the
in movie
roguelike
form.
in movie form.
Oh
Exactly.
my god.
Yeah.
You're
All right.
right.
Beyond that, actually, the whole reason that I actually came up with this idea was because I was watching.
Okay.
I've actually seen. I saw them. I saw the movie already, and then I saw like a TikTok of a clip of it, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, the Tom Cruise movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that one was really fun, and like having a lot of like dialogue options to like get through your day. Like he's been put into an absolutely insane scenario where he pretty much just like he has to find some way out of the predicament that he's in. and he has to keep trying, and he dies a lot. Like,
Yeah.
and there's like no telling, just like with Groundhog Day, like how long he was actually having to relive the same day over and over again.
Right.
Phil Collins. Or not Phil Collins. What's his
Phil
name?
Collins?
It was Phil something.
You
what was
mean
his name?
Tom Cruise?
No.
No, Phil
in Groundhog
Collins
Day.
just shows up.
Oh,
was Bill Murray.
Bill Murray?
Bill.
Yeah, Bill Murray plays a guy named Phil, I believe.
Maybe.
Phil
I think-
Connors. Phil
Phil
Connors.
Connors.
Phil
Phil
Connors.
Connors.
No, I'm just.
I knew I wasn't
I'm
crazy.
just thinking he wakes up every morning and his alarm is just do 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 do.
Oh fuck, that's great.
Like I gaslit myself because the scene from Groundhog Day that sits with me the most is just when he's walking down the sidewalk and the one really annoying dude is like Phil Connors, and I'm like, he doesn't say Collins. Why do I keep wanting to put Phil Collins in there?
It's like
As
a
if he just
Mandela
saw like
effect
Phil
for yourself.
As if he just saw Phil Collins on the street.
All right, so I'm just Dan. What
What's up?
do you got when it comes to movies and video games and
I-
and movies and TV?
I didn't realize that we were getting into television shows.
That's fine.
We can. You don't have to.
Well, yeah,
I also
movies, so
have-
it doesn't matter.
I
You have
also
to now.
have a game to turn into an anime, which I can get into a little bit later.
Do it.
But
Go
the
off, King.
first one that I really would love to see, like fully realized as its own thing, would be the Hunger Games movies and books.
Would that be a
that
battle
would make a
royale?
great game.
So, like every battle royale,
Yeah.
Exactly,
but in the actual
good.
theme of the Hunger
but
Games.
good. But here's the thing: you get full character creation, down to your specific skill that each of them have. Whatever.
Okay.
This guy plants shit really, really good, and he's going to use that to plant
Like
lots of
bombs.
Venus flytraps.
Oh.
And he's in the Hunger Games for the 6 to 8 months it takes to grow a tomato plant.
But here's,
Horticulture. That's my
here's the thing.
superpower.
Here's the thing: you better be really fucking good at this game, because if you die in the Hunger Games,
You die for real.
you don't get that character back.
Oh.
Mm.
I thought you were going to say you die for real.
Okay, so actually, I have some questions about that. What would you do as far as like, because like in the movies, I never read the books. I can't read, so in the movies, like a big thing was like the characters are like not down with the Hunger Games, really. You know, like is that like part? Would you include that, or do you think you would focus on like the more fun game aspects of it? Like if you would actually make that
predominantly-
real.
That was predominantly the lower classes that were not down with the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt
That's true.
I doubt that they would go into like the main story of it. Like it's essentially just a game put into that world, and you just play as the characters. I can't imagine that they're going to be like on the train for 20 minutes to the place, and they're just
Yeah.
like, here's all the fancy shit from the capital city or whatever.
Here's your
there's the
potential last meal.
there's the capital city. It looks like alien civilizations. All right, eat your fancy caviar before you die. It's me. It's
I
me,
have-
the guy about to die.
I have like
been years
a
since I've
possible
seen this
idea to go along with that though that could
Okay.
like help it work as a video game
Okay.
because so whenever you look at I'm bringing it up again, whenever you look at Hades, right? It's a roguelike, and every time you die it advances the story a little bit.
Okay.
So I think soon, I don't know when, but they're coming out with a movie that might have been based on a book. I don't know. I didn't keep up with the Hunger Games. I think I read like the first and second one, where it's basically like a prequel.
Yeah,
it's
this-
like
this
the
new one-
creation of the Hunger Games.
It's the song. It's like a songbird of something. It's some stupid name. That they come
Something
up
of
with these
Songbirds,
team
The
names.
Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
I saw.
So
I thought that shit already came out.
I don't
yeah,
think
that
so.
song came out. Yeah.
I saw the
Oh,
song.
yes,
Yeah, the
yeah.
song's been out
Yeah.
for a
The
while.
song's been out for a really long time, and then
Good for
Disturbed
them.
did a
Couple years
cover of
ago.
it.
Ally.
But yeah, no, this newer movie is definitely a prequel. The
So-
original trilogy is already done.
I don't necessarily mean that movie specifically, but if you were to take another set, because I feel like, if I might be wrong, but I feel like there's a long time between like this prequel and like where we meet like Katniss Everdeen and stuff like that. It goes on for years and years and years. So I'm wondering if it would be cool to take like a section of the timeline and turn that into a game. And I mean, the twist at the end, and this is just, I think sometimes these make really good endings, is the fact that you don't win. Like, because we already know that the timeline continues on and the Hunger Games continue into like Katniss Everdeen's story. But what if it was like, I think some of the best game endings might be ones where like you've lost, but there's like, you leave with a spark of hope. Where it's just like, oh,
Dark Souls does that really well.
yeah, or like fucking Rogue One, like Star Wars Rogue One. You go into that movie already knowing what's gonna happen, but that doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking spoiler alert, because you already know what's gonna happen. Like, the people are gonna die at the end. Sorry, I mean,
If you've seen the beginning of
you-
episode 4, you've seen the ending of Rogue One.
yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily. So I would only slightly agree with that, because you know that the mission's successful. You know that they steal the plans. However, you don't know any of these characters, and you don't know if they are all going to live or die.
Yeah, you don't know where it exactly meshes
I would say
up with
I would
the
say
next
their
episode,
fates.
so.
I would
No,
say their
they say it
fates.
in the movie. Like,
Eh?
they said it in episode 4, I believe. I mean, it's a little bit, like, weird because of what they said, but they called them, like, Banthans or something, because Rogue One obviously wasn't written yet till decades later. But they said many Banthans died giving us this information.
Many, not all.
Bothans. I think.
Bothans.
It's a
Oh, is it
technicality.
Bothans? My bad.
Yeah.
Don't come for me, Star Wars
only
fans. Don't come for me.
I
I'm
only
sorry.
remember
Come for
that
him.
because of the
Pitchforks.
Family Guy
Technicality.
version.
Get your pitchforks and torches. We're coming for you, STEEJ. Yeah, if that was in the text at the beginning, then that's
No,
new
it wasn't in the
information for
text.
me.
They literally say it in the meeting whenever they're showing the plans for the Death
Yeah,
Star.
yeah.
What is
Oh,
it,
yeah,
You
yeah,
said
yeah.
it's Bothans. I said Banthans. I think that's
I don't
something
know.
different.
Bantha fodder is
Yeah, no, not that.
Yeah.
not
little bit
alien shit.
different.
No, they say
Voodoo.
for lack of better words, they said many people died getting us this information, and that information is what they're
child.
getting
Yeah.
in Rogue One.
Yeah, many not all.
So yeah, okay.
It's okay to be wrong,
whatever.
STEEJ. It's okay.
Anyway, back to the fucking Hunger Games video game that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think a cool idea would be to take a section of the Hunger Games timeline in between the time when the Hunger Games start and when we meet Katniss Everdeen, and have there have been like a different revolution that happens.
So,
And-
to add
or-
sorry to interject. There was 64 years between the prequel and the original trilogy. So yes, that would be awesome.
Or, and I actually just thought of this right now, and this kind of ties into Dan's idea a little bit of like getting different characters as you go. You play in a Hunger Games, a Hunger Games, and then if you die, the timeline moves forward. I mean, the timeline moves forward regardless, but like the timeline moves forward, and then the
become a
next year you're
baby.
playing as someone else.
Yeah, you reincarnate as a baby.
And then you have to play through like 15 years of their life.
It's
you
like
know,
that
just
fucking
like
game
eating,
from Rick and Morty called Roy.
Yeah.
just fucking like eating shit, and then
chips?
yeah. And then no, it would be really funny then if like the Hunger Games comes around, like there's the cutscene where it's just like, okay, they're gonna pick the names, who's it gonna be, and then they like don't pick you, and then you're just like, oh, okay, I guess I just gotta live another whole year, and then we'll try again next year.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
You don't get, you
what
don't
an
get
engaging
called.
game that would be.
All right, so Dan,
You're
since
just like, man, I'm hungry. And then the credits.
get hungry and win. Oh,
Love that.
man.
But that would be cool.
think
I
so.
like the idea, Dan, that I co-opted and made better.
I have several other ones here. And I don't know how we're doing.
Give
this
us another
in, like,
one.
rotes.
Hit us with
Okay.
it. Slap
Do
us
it.
with it.
So, all right.
Take it out and just
So,
anyway.
anyway, STEEJ, Jesus Christ. Now that I've thought about it, this is something that I've thought would make a fantastic video game for fucking years.
Okay.
Okay? Why have they not, other than a dude that made it in PlayStation Dreams, other than a dude that made this shit over the course of 500 days in a game called PlayStation Dreams, that shit's not even cool anymore.
Yeah.
Why is there no open world Avatar: The Last Airbender?
There it
game?
is. Yep. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Why the fuck
They
is
are
there
making
not?
a game though.
It's
There's-
because they
What?
fucked up with the movie, and then I always wanted that to be something for the Kinect. The Kinect just did not work.
The
It just-
fucking Connect.
Would you say it didn't connect?
I wanted to do.
Holy
it didn't.
shit.
No, it didn't connect. I wanted to do I just wanted to do Tai Chi because most of his the different types are based off of different types of martial arts.
Right.
And and Tai
can't
Chi was
wait.
just the one you could just actually practice Tai
waterbending.
Chi as waterbending. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just wanted a waterbending game
I
where
can't
you're
wait
doing
to
the Tai Chi
fucking-
moves and the water's flowing around.
Waterbending simulator.
Yeah,
That
but
is
open
not
world.
What would happen?
No.
What do
That
you
is,
mean?
that is what's supposed to happen. Of
Yeah.
course,
Okay.
absolutely. That's what's shown in the promotional material. There's a guy they brought a guy in that's classically trained, and they were just do your thing, but
Yeah.
with this in your hand. And he's just
Yeah.
okay, here we go. And he starts doing the whole thing. They capture him from many different angles. They make a cool trailer out of it, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you get the game in your hands, this is how you airbend.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can firebend by using it as a wand.
Well, the Kinect didn't have a thing. That was the Wii. Yeah, but
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. Except for
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
And you put the clip of six earthbenders having to lift one simple rock.
No,
Or
we
lick
might get-
one rock.
We would probably get copyright strike for that, unfortunately. Maybe a
We're
picture
banned.
of it. We'll put a picture of it.
We'll do the audio ourselves.
All right, you ready?
I don't know.
Here's the rock. And then edit a picture of the rock's face on the rock. Okay, cool.
Okay. Did you know he was supposed to be the boulder?
That's awesome.
But then they gave that to the one city in Colorado.
I
What's
love
the rest of the
that,
joke,
though.
Steve?
No, that's not a joke.
No, it's actually not. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about, and I love
let
that.
me
was
look it up.
Wasn't
Was
it also?
The
Wasn't
Rock
John Cena also considered for the
supposed
role?
To be the boulder.
There was tons of wrestlers that were considered for the
Avatar.
roles of the Rumble Six.
The
Like,
boulder
cast.
was originally going to be voiced by Dwayne Johnson and was based on his wrestling persona, The Rock, which makes sense because
Who's the boulder?
He's that one
He's the
wrestler.
guy who's just the boulders.
The episode where we meet Toph, where
Yeah.
she's in the
Oh.
big wrestling thing, and there's
Yeah.
the guy that always refers to himself in third person
yeah.
as the Boulder. That's
thought-
literally a ripoff of
You
The
may be
Rock, and The
big,
Rock
but you're not
was
bad.
supposed to voice him, but I guess it just didn't work out.
But he talks
I
more
love
like Macho Man.
Yeah,
Is that
kind of.
what-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying The Rock was originally saying his name was going to be the Boulder in his wrestling career.
That's what I
That's
thought,
where
too.
I was.
That's
The
where
Rock
I
was
was.
going
as
I was
to
well.
be
waiting for
a
the
rock.
punchline, and it
That's
never
where I
came.
was.
Can you smell
forgot about
what
that
the
whole. I
boulders
haven't
cooking?
seen. I haven't seen Avatar since 2012, I think. I don't
You're
know.
missing out. You
I
gotta
know-
rewatch it. the
I
whole
do need to
thing.
rewatch it. I loved
have.
Korra. Korra was amazing. That's
Never
Yeah.
watched Legend of Korra.
it's good.
This,
It's
this is
good.
my
You'll like
ring,
the ending.
blind bandit.
You will love
it's
the
about
ending.
drive. It's about power.
In the interest of staying on topic,
Anyway.
we'll have to bring up Legend of Korra maybe some other maybe in the post show. If you guys can stick around for a post
That's
show.
a DLC.
Getting back on topic, I actually have a question for you
We'll
guys.
just not cut anything.
Editor, cut the whole episode.
I am just get
Just
it out of
replace
here.
it with the entirety of the last Airbender movie, but just us doing the voices for all. Of it.
I had a question
Okay.
that I wanted to pose to you fine gentlemen. So whenever we see movie adaptations of video games that they made movies of, what makes it a good adaptation? What in your mind makes it a good adaptation?
Nothing they've done
not-
so far.
Not shitting on source material.
Nothing?
And I'm not saying it has to be
Not really.
shot for shot, what actually happens, but just not shitting on source material, not changing things that have already been established as solid canon for a long
Yeah.
period of time, and then all of a sudden it's not like that anymore, and
Yeah.
it has implications that are long lasting, and it's like, what is this? I get it. Directors have visions and stuff, but no.
So
Sorry,
did the directors
no.
of the games, and you just didn't go to a meeting with them, I guess. judging by the final product, you did not even talk to these people.
I was
Yeah.
shocked at
Halo.
how Dan. 1 second. I was just shocked at how Dan responded to that, and only because I didn't expand that goes for shows as well. There have been, as we've already talked about, a bunch of great shows that have been game adaptations. And I wanted to make sure those were included as well. Not only movies. Why are you shrugging as if Arcane doesn't exist?
I forgot about that one, alright?
Yeah, you did. We haven't. Can you believe we've been talking about this whole thing and we haven't even brought up Arcane yet?
Or the Cyberpunk one?
Here's my thing.
And then there's Castlevania.
That's based on the game's lore and the story of the game. If we made a League of Legends movie, it would. A lot of people would go see it, absolutely, and then they'd probably just bring the computers and play that because it's more boring.
But that doesn't
and
matter. Like, I mean, it's still based on the game.
I have a lot of League of Legends players really angry.
Mortal Kombat, the movie, the game, the movie.
Bro,
They're always
the Mortal
angry,
Kombat
Dan.
movies were. Dude, I had a lot of fun watching the most recent one, like the one that came out like maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
That movie was really fun to watch. Personally, Kano kind of soiled it for me a little bit. Pretty much the movie for me was kind of like, all right, he's made his funny jokes about pissing like 30 times already in half this movie.
Speaking of soiled,
we open the movie with something incredibly serious and depressing, and then you just cut to Kano pissing in the desert. Like, I didn't need that. Like, it was mostly
That makes
the
me wanna watch
rivalry
it more for
between
some reason. I don't
Sub-Zero
know
and
why.
Scorpion.
and then
I think that's hilarious.
and then you also have the stupid nomenclatures of like Mortal Kombat the movie : the game.
Yeah.
Oh
We won't
god,
talk about
making
the
a
first
game
one.
adaptation of a movie based off a
Based
game.
on the game. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. I'm pretty sure they did
They
that
absolutely
for.
they 100%.
That only
did
works
that.
if it's a meme. Like,
Yeah, they did that with Resident Evil too.
kind of makes me
but
think
the,
of.
Not the
but the
second
name.
game.
But the name scheme was not literally Resident Evil the movie, the game.
Well, yeah, but it might as well have been.
God, I just remembered that. Yeah, Resident Evil the movie.
Bro, that
Mila
movie
Jovovich.
I
has,
think
like,
that the
game has,
games
like, 6
were
movies.
great, especially like at the time like that movie came out. The games that had come out so far were really good, and then the movie was really good, but it really did not feel like it had anything to do with the game. Wait, is it
Not really.
completely different, or did they just use a different name?
It's completely different. The
Pretty much, yeah.
the Mila Jovovich movies do not follow the game canon that much, but that was well like
Is the
announced.
universe like?
That was yeah, it's the universe. Like there's Jill Valentine, like all
Okay.
the like characters still exist with the same names and stuff. But they announced before the movies even came out. They were like, we're not going by the story of the games. So like you're forewarned.
So
But
that
then,
is
but then
actually-
Resident Evil has, I think, like 5 or 6 CG movies.
Yeah, I was
that-
gonna say.
that literally are just like feature-length films that look like long cutscenes
Of the
that are
game, yeah.
actually pretty great, and they follow game material far closer.
Yeah. That actually, so to kind of come back to your question earlier, STEEJ, like what makes one of those, like a game adaptation into a movie, something good, is actually, in the case of Resident Evil, what they did is they took the universe and they made a separate story within it.
Yeah.
As long as you
Kinda
set your
Kind
expectations.
of like how I was saying with like, doing a Hunger Games video game. It's just
And
like take
Arcane.
a section of it and yeah.
Is
Anyways,
to,
continue.
is to take it and kind of make it its own thing within the universe, so you don't actually mess with like the canon that's there. You can have like tangent canon.
Yeah.
And
Or maybe
a
some
great
references
example
here
of
and
this going wrong is the Halo series, and it just
Okay.
one of the first things Master Chief does is take off his fucking helmet. That's like the
That
rule.
doesn't happen.
It's just that's the number one
It's
rule for
not
Halo, other than
supposed to
shoot
happen.
aliens. Is Master Chief doesn't take off his helmet unless
Master
he's
John
all
Halo
alone.
Man.
Wait,
his
is he a
helmet.
Mandalorian? Holy shit!
I was literally about to say they just wanted to be the Mandalorian so bad because Mandalorian, which I haven't seen all of, which is fine. I'm probably
fun
not going to.
show.
But I know that there's like a big reveal. He takes his helmet off and like that's like a big thing. But also he hasn't been established for years as a character who isn't supposed to do that, or we never do. Like that's one of the entire biggest appeals
me.
of like the Halo franchise, at least the ones that Master Chief is in, is that you are a like faceless protector.
Yeah, for sure.
You can, I mean, he has some voice lines, he's got some personality, obviously.
He
but
took his helmet
you are
off
supposed
at the end
to
of the first
put.
Halo, but you never see it.
Yes. Also, by the way, if have you guys seen the Zoom it? Have you seen the people
they
that
broke the camera
where they break the camera and he comes down, he takes his helmet off, and what's
it's just
underneath?
another helmet.
It's another helmet. So good. I don't think they ever meant that to be seen. It's pretty obvious that it.
Oh no, that's
wasn't.
why they left it as a helmet.
They
I love
definitely did that as a joke.
It's
for
like
The
taking the
Office.
glasses off to see more glasses, and they did it way before that meme was ever a
love
thing.
that.
To get into just a little bit of Halo lore here about like who the Master Chief is, because I've been looking into this because I don't know if you guys have seen how insane I am about talking about Bungie lore and shit like that, but also specifically Marathon because Marathon's coming out. I'm not going to talk for another 15 minutes about it. I promise. It's my Chow Garden.
Not
it's
this
okay.
episode.
It's
Not this episode.
It is his
Garden.
Chow
Not
Garden.
today. Not today. Anyway,
It's his Chow Garden.
Yeah.
it's fine. So Marathon. Okay, there's a lot of reused ideas and reused like even like names for things and like types of like characters that are in Bungie games. Okay. You know, from Halo into Destiny, there's a lot of stuff that actually, like, I'm not going to get into too many examples right now. What the fuck was I talking about? Dead. Okay, Master Chief. Okay, so Master Chief is actually a dead thing. And like in Destiny, the Guardians are literally dead and then they're resurrected. And when in like the lore, like when like the hushed casket, you guys are familiar with that in the first Halo game where it's like the when Cortana is waking up Master Chief, like she's waking the hushed casket, so she's like so thematically
cryo sleep.
He's a
basically.
dead. Yeah, so that like, but thematically, metaphorically, he's actually dead. Which is, I don't know how much sense that's going to make, and I can't remember why I was talking about it.
Second shot at life, and it has to be in the first Halo game.
Gentlemen,
Lyle.
let me lay some things on you. So I don't want to dig too much into this one, but a prime example of taking some source material out of context and creating something different from a different era or timepiece, the Hogwarts Legacy game. Like it's like 100 something years before the events of Harry Potter or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's true.
But it had its own story. It did its own thing. It established some lore and some history there. But that's just another example of a piece out of an expansive universe, so to speak, that was made into another medium. That's
a good way to do it when you're switching mediums. Is to just kind of focus on a different like set of characters or a time frame.
Yeah, there were little to no familiar characters in that game.
Use the rules of the universe without using the known characters of the universe.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that's usually like what people like want to do is like they want to go inhabit that universe as themselves.
They want to put themselves in the game or the movie
they want
or whatever.
to try the same things that they're seeing or like, you know, maybe do it a little bit differently. That kind of thing.
Excellent point to bring up because that leads me into my next one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Where I've talked about this, not on the podcast before, but just in general, where The Legend of Zelda could easily be done and turned into either an anime or a television show where you keep a silent protagonist. Similar to, I'm not familiar with how quiet The Mandalorian was, but the Mandalorian was, I'm presuming, silent or how...
he didn't talk a lot, but whenever he said... He's like Kratos. Whenever he's got some shit to say other than or boy, he says some shit.
But Link, obviously not a speaker. Fun fact, the only time he does say words is in Wind Waker when he says, come on, when he's calling a statue over. But
is hiya not a word?
No.
In another language, maybe. Anyway, but Legend of Zelda could easily, I think, either be turned into a live action, like Netflix serious drama, and they could base it off of Twilight Princess, which I think has the dark thematic undertones, as well as Majora's Mask.
I was gonna say that one.
Like Twilight Princess could easily be kept to like 2 seasons. Majora's Mask could easily be kept to 1 season. And the thing with Majora's Mask too, because you have that time resetting mechanic, which is a great mechanic, people just don't like it. Hot take, deal with it. There are very impactful and very emotional side quests in Majora's Mask, and they could do individual episodes that you could watch out of order based on each of these side quests.
Yeah.
Like because there are lots of characters that pass away, that lose loved ones. Like the entire fucking game is based off of theorized to be based off of the 5 stages of grief. So like each region that Link goes to like represents each one of the 5 stages, and there are side quests within that deal with it. But anyway,
if you were to direct that as a series, I mean, other than the fact that you're already telling us what you would want it to be, what I'm just imagining you. Okay, like let's just say, holy crap, you are now directing that. Like, what is your first move as a director?
Does he have a little beret?
Yeah.
Okay,
Does he get the chair?
and a megaphone and a pencil-thin
Obvious.
mustache.
And the mech.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Monocle?
A monocle
maybe.
would
That's a little
be
too- that's a
real.
little too
That's producer.
That's for the French adaptation.
Oh,
Um,
and the beret
so,
isn't.
what you're saying? Like, what is my first step in
Yeah.
like making that come to life?
Yeah.
The casting would have to be really important, and I think that the direction of the TV show, like for the episodes, wouldn't necessarily, like they would all involve Link to a degree in regards to what he has to do to help out the characters, but I think each episode would have to center around the characters that the side quest is about. For example, the couple's mask that you obtain is something that you obtain after you help out a couple named Anju and Cafe. And Cafe was turned into like the child of a body, and he's afraid to face his fiance Anju as a child, and so you're helping him. You're helping Anju like pass notes back and forth. Like she has no idea where he went. He went into hiding, and so you're trying to be this messenger and relay that like they're still thinking about each other, and you help them eventually come to the realization that like it doesn't matter, the world is ending, we just want to be together, we're not going to try to like escape or leave the land, like as long as we're together at the end, it doesn't matter what we look like, we're happy, we've kind of rediscovered and refound ourselves.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like Majora's Mask is much deeper than a lot of people give it credit for.
I think it's because a lot of people didn't play it, or
Because
they
they're
tried to, and then they realized
they're turned off by the time mechanic, and that's valid. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. It frustrates me when people.
I
that's
gotta deal with
another-
time in real life.
It's
Why would
bad.
I want to do it in my games?
I think this is actually another example
That's why I never wait in Skyrim.
of Nintendo marketing something in the wrong way, because I think a lot of people saw that and they saw
Ocarina.
They saw Ocarina of Time, and then they saw Majora's Mask, and they said, it looks like it's the same thing, and that's what they were expecting going into. That's what I was expecting when I went into it, and I got really confused.
Here's the lore behind that, though, is that the success of Ocarina of Time was so unprecedented that Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma turned around to the Zelda dev team and were like, "Look, we had no idea this was going to be this good. We want you guys to create a spiritual successor or a sequel in less than a year." And then 8 to 10 months later, Majora's Mask got churned out. So that's why a vast majority of Majora's Mask's assets are Ocarina of Time assets.
Yeah,
And that does lead credence to what you're saying with people not really knowing what it was. But Majora's Mask was marketed as its own separate game. Like it had its own creepy ass fucking trailers, 90s video game trailers. Am I right, folks?
Give them a round
are
of applause.
wild.
All right.
Yeah. But another thing, just before I forget, and this is less movie to game or game to TV show or whatever. This is more one genre of game to another genre of game. I think the Legend of Zelda universe, if it had some sort of convergence, could easily be turned into an MMO. Because you have many different races of creatures throughout the 19 Zelda games. They could each have their own areas of the world, factions. They could be at war with each other. You can choose whether you want to be a Hylian, a Zora, a Deku, a Goron, Zonai, which we learned about in Tears of the Kingdom now.
MMORPG.
Is
RPG,
there a
like-
timeline event where you play as every Link?
There could be different links in the game. That's the beauty of it. And I haven't really expounded on that one much, but along that same vein, and here we go again, I think a Dark Souls Legend of Zelda could easily be created.
I know you're a big proponent of that.
That
being
would be
done.
pretty sick. if I'm
Right,
honest
like
with
you are a voiceless protagonist and you like the world that you're in, Hyrule, for example, or Termina or whatever. Like again, another timeline convergence where like everything gets mixed up, kind of like a Hyrule Warriors type situation, portals and whatever. The world gets either overwhelmed by Twilight. All your big bosses that you fight in the Dark Souls game are all these, massive, larger than life Zelda bosses that hit you hard. All your NPCs, are going to be like Midna, Malin, and all that helping you out. Like it could easily be done, and it could easily have, again, like Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, dark undertones, be a very serious story-driven game.
I think if they made a Legend of Zelda Dark Souls game, that might actually get me into a Dark Souls game.
So we had just been mentioning like the games that, let's say, the anime, show, movie could be based on, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the reputation that video game adaptations have, right? It's really, and as we've discussed literally prior to the majority of this conversation, it's really hard for directors to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to stick to the source material. It's somehow really fucking hard for them to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of interviews where directors of these adaptation movies will get asked, like, how familiar are you with the source material? Or are you a fan of the X, Y, or Z series? And they're like, yeah, I like Mario.
My son plays
it. I watch my son play Fortnite, and that's the same as Avatar. And it's like...
Same as God of War.
But...
Kratos is in Fortnite.
It is...
Unfortunately.
It would be so unbelievably hard and provide so much like story creativity. Like the guy could be like, "Ayo, writers, have fun. This is like the bare bones shit. Have a great time. Make something cool." Mm-hmm. Why don't they just make a movie about the original?
Because that wouldn't make money.
I don't know.
Okay, so
the
all right,
amount of
Hollywood
creativity.
Hollywood has to follow a formula.
Hold on, I'm missing something. The original what?
The original Legend of Zelda game.
Oh,
it is
okay.
so fucking bare bones because they couldn't do much with that shit.
Yeah.
They were
But
just
that's
like,
exactly. Right. But that's exactly it. Because there's little to no lore behind it. There's nothing. It was the first of its kind. It leaves almost too much space for creative freedom that even a like Zelda diehard would be like.
It's also it's attached to all of the other Zeldas. So if they go too far off with the original, like if they're going off in a completely like Zelda has already gone over here into its alternate timelines of its own, and then it would go just, off over here, and it's like now it's not Zelda anymore. It's just what Zelda could have been if they made a different game or something. I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
I guess I've always kind of envisioned like an adaptation of like certain dungeons from the first game. Like you kind of go into said like dungeon to find whatever piece of the whatever that you're grabbing. And like let's say the one where Link gets like the bow in the first or second dungeon, isn't it? Something like that? Like he gets the bow item in the first game?
He does get the bow eventually, but you get the boomerang in the first dungeon.
Okay, boomerang. Let's go with that one. I've always envisioned like an anime like recreation of that dungeon. I don't know. Just something about it seemed really, really cool to me. Like he finds the boomerang on the floor and he's just like, wow, what the fuck is this? I don't know. I got a sword from a guy in a cave, so I trust anything. And then he swooshes his torch around and it's the fucking dinosaur dude.
I mean, a lot of if you're able to take a look at a lot of the original Nintendo Legend of Zelda like concept art for the original Legend of Zelda as well as Link to the Past, there is a lot of that, like Link walking through some sewers guiding Zelda by her hand and having like a torch like a torch in one hand and coming up against a Lizalfos or some kind of creature, and it looks really cool.
Rats
like,
and snakes.
Colloquially keys and ropes, if you didn't know what they were called.
I hate that.
But I had one last thing I did want to kind of, before I forget about it. So I don't know how big a fan you guys are of like the Telltale style games.
I love
where
them.
It's
They're fun.
Okay.
Where it's predominantly decision based and there are many branches.
I liked The Walking Dead.
I recently played the Star Trek one, which was it was pretty good. It was buggy, but it was good. Like original characters, like there weren't like TV show characters present in the game or anything. Cool. But it got me thinking, and like, did you guys ever watch the show Fringe? Created by J.J. Abrams. It stars.
Sounds really familiar.
It really does.
I'm blanking on his name, but from Lord of the Rings 3, the guy that bites into the juicy baby tomato.
Oh.
That guy, yeah.
The guy that was like the false king or whatever.
I haven't gotten to that.
He was like he was the steward. He was the steward while there was no king, and he was like, I'm gonna burn my son, even though I know he's still alive. He's my least favorite son. But anyway,
made so
it stars
sense to me when it
like
happened.
he's one of the three main actors.
Least favorite son.
That's
That's
literally.
No, I haven't seen this movie yet. I've gotten through like halfway through the second.
Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. He stars as he's the steward in place of the king of the realm or whatever.
Fuck my least favorite son.
Well, no, he has two sons. The younger son is like a disappointment and is constantly trying to
love it.
appease him. Anyway, we'll get into Lord of the Rings later, I guess. But a Telltale style game. Based on the show Fringe. It was created by J.J. Abrams. Have your opinions on J.J. Abrams, if you will, whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. But the show itself was actually really, really good. And it also, later on in the show, starred Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek, who was
cool.
Spock, if you're familiar with that character. Yeah. But and Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick was a prominent character in there as well. But the entire show is about an FBI agent. Her character's name is Olivia Dunham. And she is scouted by this special organization, the Fringe Science Division, for trying to solve like bioterrorist attacks that are seemingly like supernatural, but it's all based on like I want to say like 99% like realistic science, like all behind it.
Got it. Okay.
And it's super interesting, and I thought it was really well done, and I thought that would make an excellent like Telltale style game.
Okay. Yeah. And whenever you started talking about it a little bit more, and I looked it up too. I have seen a couple episodes of Fringe. I know my girlfriend really likes Fringe a lot.
It was really big for a while, wasn't it?
It was.
And she showed it to me, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And yeah, that just the way I feel like a lot of detective type things, but especially that where it's like something that's seemingly like really possibly like paranormal or something. Ends up just being a really fascinating like scientific phenomenon or something like that. And you have to find your way through it.
I was gonna say it sounds like X-Files mixed with Law and Order.
It was very X-Files-esque, except X-Files was predominantly centered around aliens, and this one was really bioterrorism.
Yeah.
And people trying to and I mean this one even got into like alternate dimensions and like some time travel, but John Noble, that's his name. And Anna Torv is actually a prolific actress as well.
Okay,
but it'd be really, really good.
Go watch the show if you haven't already. Because
do it. I get paid 5 cents per episode that you watch.
He gets royalties.
I don't actually. Just pay me for watching it.
Yeah. So I've got a few more games here that I'm going to just read off rapid fire real quick.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Here we go. I mean, I already said Edge of Tomorrow. And Groundhog Day, which are basically roguelikes in movie form.
Both of those are movies.
And then this is kind of a random one. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the movie The Rocketeer.
Yes.
Sounds familiar.
One of my favorite movies of all time. I've got a little chibi dude somewhere over there. He's over there somewhere. Anyway, I always wanted that to be a thing. It has a lot of aviation and stuff in it. So he finds a rocket pack, but he was like already like working as like a racing pilot. But before that, he was cool. It's a really cool idea. I have not seen a good aviation based sort of like arcade style, maybe open world, but like have races sort of thing. The closest thing I can think of was Plane Crazy. I actually said this. I think it was like in like the first or second episode. Oh no, it was the nostalgia episode, whichever that one was. And you guys didn't think it was a real game, which by the Plane Crazy is a real game. Anyway,
no, I'm just more surprised that The Rocketeer is a Disney movie.
Mm-hmm. What? Yeah.
I have never heard of this.
Yes.
I mean,
no,
Disney-
it's a great movie. It was supposed to be like an Indiana Jones style thing.
Got it.
Because they were trying to like kind of go in that same direction, and then it just did not get picked up the same way. Anyway,
I get it.
I wanted it. They actually made a video game, but it was really crappy, and it actually reminded me a lot of the Titanic video game. Where
Which one?
it was the one where it actually had like Jack and Rose on like actually modeled as if they were their characters.
Gotcha.
And it was real 8-bitty, but like you kept dying to
Please
rats.
tell me it's an escape room game.
I think that one's on
No,
the NES.
it kind of
You have to
was.
solve the puzzles
Anyway,
before you sink and die.
that's a movie that should have never been made into a video game. See John Tron about that, please.
I think he has 3 Titanic videos now.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's so good. Anyway, and that kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Lion King game and the Aladdin game. The Lion King game, I don't think anybody ever like got past like the weird
The giraffe.
psychedelic giraffe shit. Yeah, it just got so stupidly hard for no
You
reason.
step on them, and then as soon as you step on them, their head goes like this and dumps you into the giraffe
Yeah.
body abyss.
I really like the Aladdin game though.
What are you
is-
on about?
You know how Pokemon's a first-person shooter? Pokemon Snap's
I
a first-person
know what that
shooter.
music was. Yeah.
Is Snakes on a Plane a airplane simulator adaptation or whatever that Microsoft game
No,
is?
that's
Flight
a horror
Simulator?
survival, dude.
I would not play that game just because I would not want to be in a cramped area with snakes. That just sounds like a really shitty game.
That
No, but
sounds
that's
like
what
a
You
I'm saying.
prefer to
survival
be in a
horror.
cramped area with a giant alien.
Is
trying to kill you.
Snakes on the Plane a Flight Simulator movie adaptation?
No.
Now,
Yes.
what if it was the undeveloped
But why not?
intro to the forest? Thoughts? You
Like,
got rid
the
of all the
concept
all the
forest?
snakes, then the plane explodes, and now you're in the forest.
With a bunch of
Okay,
snakes.
but where did the snakes go?
They turned into the demons from the forest. Catch
Oh,
up.
is that what happens? They just evolution, just
Yeah.
like a million years of evolution just happens.
This
and
sounds
suddenly
like
we
an
have
episode.
snake people.
This is an episode of Fringe. Someone came up with a bioterrorist attack that somehow expedites like evolution by 100 years in a matter of seconds.
100 years. We're talking millions.
Millions.
That just turns snakes into people.
STEEJ, you're saying this like the fucking nematodes from SpongeBob are getting together and turning into a huge armored mech from the forest, and you're telling me that that's not evolution?
You got me there.
No, that's just teamwork.
It's science, all right?
It's science. Yeah, you got me
it's
there.
They
science.
evolved to be that smart.
Anyway, gentlemen, I think we've
Yeah.
reached a good point where it's time to wrap this up. Matt, you are the host. Is there anything you'd like to wrap this up with?
Which is
Okay.
which is that Prince of Persia should have never been turned into a movie.
Tell that to Jake Gyllenhaal.
And also, the third one should have never happened. Hey, thank you guys all for... I love Jake Gyllenhaal, actually, by the way. Anyway,
pretty
thank
cool.
you guys
Thank
for
you.
listening. Thank you, Jake Gyllenhaal, for listening to our podcast. I appreciate it so much. I know you're a big
Sponsor
fan.
us, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I just, I loved you as
Mysterio?
Yeah, Mysterio. I was gonna say,
He
I
was
almost said
pretty good as
Mephisto. That he's never come to the MCU. Anyway, it's fine. The MCU is dead. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for talking with me, my friendos. This was a lot of fun, and I think we're gonna head over into the post show.
Yeah, does everyone have time?
I got a few minutes.
I'm
Okay,
in
we're gonna-
denial about the MCU.
Join us in the post show, possibly a different video where
Yeah.
we're gonna try to convince Lyle to watch The Legend of Korra like today.
Yeah, right now.
Or Emperor's New Groove.
And
That'd be a great game.
join us in the fucking post show. Goodbye, everyone.